On today's show, all right, what if the Mavs do nothing before the trade deadline? Well, that just gives them more work to do. We'll tell you what it is. Today's Locked On Mavs.
This is Cooper Flagg, and you're listening to Locked On Mavs.
I think that's a good question.
Good morning, Isaac. All these changes, I still got my dog, Dwight Powell.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave
Your team every day.
I'm going to give the city like back.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Mavs for over 10 years. Thanks for being in every day. Make it Locked On Mavs your first listen in the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network out there. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and you get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Joining me, as always, my co-host, media member covering the Mavs for over 10 years, right alongside me, the nothing nudist, the one we're thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Shout out to Cooper Flagg, going #1 again in the Rising Stars draft.
Let's go. Which one was more prestigious? Him getting #1 overall in the 2025 NBA draft or the Rising Stars draft, #1 overall?
Rising Stars draft. I enjoyed this draft. That all three of the top 3 picks in this draft. It actually could have went further than that, but the top 3 picks in this draft were all this year. Like, how many picks did it take to get to the sophomore class?
Yeah, it's like,
but no, yeah. Cooper goes. They had a draft on TV. Mello, Vince Carter. Forgot the third person. Tracy McGrady, T-Mac, and Cooper went first. Somehow Cooper, Stephon Castle, and Dylan Harper got all on the same team, and I'm like, all right,
tough.
What do we do?
And then Austin Rivers has the G League team, so they put all the teams out there, and I was like, what was Austin Rivers doing when they were drafting these teams? I was like, wait a minute, he didn't draft any of these guys. He just got stuck with the G League All-Stars. So we'll talk about the Rising Stars later. We'll do all that when we cover that on All-Star Weekend. But today, I want to talk about the trade deadline and what if the Mavs do nothing? I think that would leave them with more work to do than they would if they did something at this trade deadline. So we're going to get into all the different machinations and all the different things because Mark Stein had a couple things to say. He was on the DLS show with our friends over there, and he was talking about a couple things. One of the things he said, one of the new things he said, was that Naji Marshall talk, at least coming in to the interest in Naji Marshall is higher than interest in Daniel Gafford. Gafford was a couple weeks ago. You remember we talked about he's getting the most talk of any player. He's the most tradable player on the Mavericks, is what some people said, because there's so much interest in him. Lots of teams need a backup center. But now Naji Marshall has overtaken Daniel Gafford. Makes a ton of sense because he's playing a lot better and all that. But yet Naji Marshall is now the most talked about player, at least trade-wise, for the Mavs.
Well, for Naji, I mean, Naji is a wing. Everybody loves wings. Everybody needs wings. And
Drums
when you
flats?
Flats. And when you look at Naji compared to Gafford, they're around the same age, but Naji makes less money. He's around the $8 or $9 million mark. Gafford's on the new extension. So, and then just everything Naji brings, his defense, his creation on the wing spot, like he's just such a versatile wing. So, I mean, it feels like a broken record. We've been saying we've been kind of like scared of like the team. I think a team's going to come calling and make it really tempting for Dallas over the next, week and a half that we have. So it doesn't shock me at all that Naji is going to be one of the more coveted support players from Dallas that teams want.
But the Mavs also are not going to have any conversations unless they get a first-round pick for Naji Marshall. So
as they should.
We talked about that the other day. Stein also talked about how there's really no movement on an Anthony Davis trade, which kind of makes sense. He's injured. He's out. He's going to be out until after the All-Star break. And so all that got us thinking, well, what if nothing happens for the Dallas Mavericks? And I think the first question they have to answer is, what do you do with Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis then? How do you decide to shut both of them down? Is it one or the other? Do you let Kyrie play so he can get some run in? Because if he doesn't play, it'll be like 20 months from when he last played to when he would play at the beginning of next season. So that's a lot of time for a guy to be down. Anthony Davis obviously wants to play. Him and his representation over at Clutch want him to play to prove to other teams that he can get that extension that he wants from somewhere else. And so there's just a lot of choices to be made. But if you're the Mavs, you shut both of those guys down if they don't do anything at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan, as somebody in our seat, I think it's a lot easier for us to say they got to shut both of them down, right. Which I think that's the smartest move. Because, you look at where Dallas is right now. At the time of this recording, I haven't seen, some of the games tonight standings wise, but they're the 10th best odds in the standings to get the top pick. So, sitting at the 10 spot, They keep on going up in that, unfortunately. But I talked about some prospects and some draft stuff on One More Thing yesterday, but they're kind of a half game separates them from the 7th spot, the 7th best odds, and the 10th best odds. So, can you move up to 7 in there? And what is going to hurt your chances more, I think, is if you just start bringing everybody back at the it's not the second half. We are in the second half of the season right now.
Yeah, bring it back after the All-Star break.
Yeah, so remember, the All-Star break is the halfway point of the season.
If your team makes the playoffs, it is. I'm going to hold on to that forever.
The smartest move is to shut them both down, and that's why the AD stuff has been a little confusing to me. And I'm still holding out a small glimmer of thing of like, it just doesn't make sense to me why they wouldn't do surgery and push to come back and everything if there wasn't going to be some type of trade talks before the deadline. So that's where just like AD is going to fight to come back for a lottery team. And then it's just going to get awkward because he obviously wants to play, and Dallas probably doesn't want him to play, and they shouldn't, because at this point, or at that point, especially past the trade deadline, like you only have a certain amount of the season left. And it's like, you need to improve the lottery odds at this point because you're not making a playoff run.
I agree with you. I'm with you. I've been on the team tank. This is the time. This is the time. Devil's advocate here. The owner and others in the organization, according to Mark Stein the other day.
Oh, don't say it because this sentence is driving me nuts right now.
All right, just cover your ears. Ready? They want to see Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Cooper Flagg all play together, and if they can get them to play together, is there any benefit for them getting to at least see them play together? And I think there is some, but I don't know what you're going to prove to yourself. I don't know what you're going to prove to yourself.
So play it out. Okay, play it out. You go into next season. They got everybody on the roster.
The benefit
you see them. What is it?
The benefit is you start the chemistry between the three of those guys. The team could be really good next year if all those guys stay healthy. I am not a believer that is going to happen. That I don't think that's a realistic play, that all those guys will just be healthy at the same time. But you start that going. You work, then you get a whole offseason. Hopefully they stay healthy through there. And then you come into next season, you're like, all right, we've already got a foundation of what this team's going to be like. And then you play next
hold on
season.
real quick. I'm getting a phone call. Oh, wait. Rich says he still wants an extension.
Is it Baylor Scott and White?
Rich Ball still is just called and said, hey, no, don't forget the extension that I'm still wanting. So play it out. Like, okay, if you bring everybody back and we're talking late February, March, we're in the last like stretch of the season, and it's like, welcome back, Anthony Davis, Kyrie, Cooper. Let's see it all together. And it's like, okay, cool. What if you win 5 games and then you don't even make the play in? And it's like, you know what? You're going into the offseason saying, do we give AD the extension now? Maybe he even played 6 games in a row.
Say, what if he looks awesome? What if he looks really good?
Looks really good, plays in 6 games in a row, breaks his streak of just 5 games. And
then the number becomes 6. We just keep saying he hasn't played more than 6 games in a row.
How infuriating would it be to Mavs fans if they gave him an extension then? It's like, because we've seen, it becomes the new Houston half. Hey, remember those 2 weeks in the 1st of March?
What if they win 10 games in a row? He plays all of them, and you're like, okay, we don't have to make all these trades because all of a sudden these guys are all good.
Yeah, so then what? You give him an extension because of those 10 games?
Do you still have to? He's still signed on for a year and the player option after that.
We have seen Rich Paul do this. I know it's
Anthony Davis wants to stay. I think they're in disagreement.
He does want to stay. He also wants the money. And we've seen Rich do this and stuff. I love, one of my favorite comments right now is like, hey, you don't have to give in to Rich Paul. To an extent, I get it. You don't have to do everything he wants.
Okay, get ready for them. Lively needs an extension.
But it's going to get, the drama and everything. So then you go into next season. Are you really confident? Like, even if you don't give the extension, are you really confident you go into next season saying, you know what, it's different now. He's healthy now. We played 10 games together in March. He's healthy.
I'm not. Let me embody some of our.
He's played 29 games in a calendar year. All right, Joel Embiid has played more games than him. We
did get a comment yesterday that said, "I still believe in Anthony Davis. He's not Joel Embiid yet." And I was like, Embiid has played more games than Anthony Davis over the last year. Let me embody one of our commenters though. If they all come back, and they look so good. Wouldn't the excitement of how good this team looks be more fun than trading him, getting the flexibility, doing all that? Like, all right, we'll just take it into next season. And now we have Anthony Davis.
And you're picking 12 or 13?
Sure, yeah.
Give me the financial flexibility, which we can talk about in a second. Give me the higher draft pick. Yes.
So you're shutting both AD and Kyrie down if the Mavs do nothing. But you're doing that.
This
is
your
anyway.
one chance to get a decent draft pick.
I'm with you.
You got it. Like, this is your one chance. You're already down the path. I'm not even arguing this like in the preseason before the season started. I'm arguing this now because you're already down this path so far. You just got to just embrace it for 2 more months and go say, hey, we have a chance to go get another really good young player. This is all about Cooper Flagg now. This isn't the Nico Harrison like vision timeline. This is about Cooper Flagg.
We banned that word. The V word. The V word has been banned. Coming up, if Dallas does do nothing at the trade deadline, they have multiple moves to make this offseason. What are they? We'll tell you coming up.
That you felt that he should have played
I
more.
carry a lot of responsibility in my household. If something happened to me, there would be serious consequences. We have a mortgage. We got tuition. We got everyday bills. Those aren't going anywhere if something happens to me. And I know that's an overwhelming feeling, but I'm taking steps to protect my family by getting life insurance through Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast, easy, and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LocdownNBA. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get your free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LocdownNBA. That's ethos.com/LocdownNBA. Ethos.com/LocdownNBA. Application times and rates may vary.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Isaac, let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks with the trade deadline. What if they do nothing? If you want to join us and get ad-free episodes of this show, you can subscribe to the Everydayer Club. There's a link in the QR code as well as in the description. We're trying to pass the Blazers. The Blazers have like 3 times as many subscribers as we do, which is insane. Subscribe to the Everydayer Club. You get access to the Discord. Isaac's in there all the time talking to you guys about all kinds of different stuff with the Mavs. It's really fun in the Discord during games, outside of that, all that. So subscribe to the Everydayers Club. Also, right now, you can use this code DEADLINE and you get a free month of the Everydayers Club if you want to try it out. So use the code DEADLINE when you subscribe to it. It's LockedOnMavericks.supercast.com or the QR code in the links in the description will get you there. All right, Isaac. What if the Mavericks do nothing at the deadline? Talked about shutting down AD and Kyrie. It makes the most sense to shut them both down. I think there is some sense in keeping Kyrie, like letting Kyrie play so that he gets some run in.
Yes, I agree with that.
To let Kyrie play?
Yes.
Okay, so you let Kyrie play and you shut AD down. But Kyrie doesn't mess with the draft?
Here's my thing. I've been consistent with this. If Kyrie, there's a way to bring Kyrie back and still, if we don't want to use the word tank, or let's just use it for who, I don't care.
We can use that. That's not a banned word here.
Yeah. You can still bring Kyrie back and tank, I think. There's a way to do that. You can focus on some first halves. You can focus on him playing just with Cooper. You can
the Raptors thing last year where they would start guys, play them, and then not play them in the fourth quarter on purpose, and the whole fourth quarter was all garbage time for 2 months.
Yeah, fourth quarter it's Jaden Hardy over over Kyrie, and it's just like so. It's like there's ways of doing that. Like if Kyrie wants to come back, I do think that would be a win for the last part of the season. Is trying to build some on-court chemistry between him and Cooper. Yeah, I would actually love that. But you can still do that and preserve the tank.
If the Mavs do nothing, the Mavs will have to do this in the offseason. They have to make multiple moves. We've talked about this a lot. They're about $4 million up against the second apron, so they're $4 million below it next season, as everything stands right now. They're bringing in their draft pick that's going to make, between $6 and $9 million or something like that if they stay in this spot. They have not signed Ryan Nembhard yet. They have not signed Moussa Cisse yet. They have not signed Brandon Williams yet. You lose Dwight Powell, you lose Dante Exum, which I think we're fine with at this point, and that all has to happen within that $4 million. It's impossible, so they have to do something before next season because they don't want to. They can't be a second apron team.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to find an exact calculation of where they're going to be at right now if they don't do anything. But I've seen multiple play like they're over the second apron if they don't do anything right now.
Yeah,
they don't touch anything. They're already a second apron team. You look at Spotrac.
They don't do what? So if they don't,
he's got to touch it. He's got to rub it and hold it.
If they don't do that,
just going off like Spotrac, I sent this out the other day. Someone asked for some of the details of it in our insider program, our text program, and it's like, hey. If we just look at some of the numbers, follow with me for a second. Second apron's around that 207 number, 207.8 million. If according to Spotrac, another site, Mavs right now are around that like 215 to 218 million dollars. So they're already a second apron team. That's without everything you said, without the first round draft pick salary, which it's going to be a top 10 pick most likely, without Brandon Williams, Nembhard, Dwight Powell, Cisse. So you look at something like that and you're like, all right, well, who cares if it's well, then you're a second apron team and you have all the restrictions, right? Like all the second apron restrictions that are just horrific. Okay. It's not just, Dumont's going to have a higher bill. No, it affects roster building and everything. And right now the Mavs are currently a top 5 payroll and a bottom 10 record. It's not a good combination of that. So you look at that and it's like, all right, well, how can we clear up money? How can we get out of the second apron? This is where the roster moves happen. And this is what I'm trying to say of like, even with like Anthony Davis and them trying to look at like expiring contracts, it's like, if they just did, let's just say, just for the fun of it, Atlanta does throw Ricochet in the deal, which probably, it's not going to happen, all that. But let's just say it's Porzingis, Kennard, and Ricochet in the deal. That would clear up around like $41.5 million for next year. So then all of a sudden that takes you down to like around like 177, 178, 180 before the contract of the top 10 pick, which then takes you into the 190s. Then you have access to other exceptions. You have all these different exceptions through there that teams use to roster build. Then you don't have to dump a Daniel Gafford or a Naji Marshall or, some of these other players. Yeah. If you want to keep Klay, you can do that. You can go into the Max Christie extension saying, all right, let's find a reasonable deal for everybody instead of, well, crap, we're already a second apron team. Like how can we even begin to look at its extensions for a Max or somebody? So that's where it gets a little, when you have the conversations like, well, I don't think we should just trade AD for the heck of it. But man, Naji's playing too good. I want to keep Naji. Well, you got to lock in Max. He's super young. Dude, we're so injured at our big man spot. You can't trade Gafford. It's like, okay, well, at some point you got it. Like you can't be a second apron team. So they got to figure out how to do that. And if they stand pat at the deadline, then you can't, and they don't trade like an Anthony Davis, so they don't trade any of these guys. You're going to see some just straight up shedding for nothing coming this offseason because they don't want to be a second apron team. So that's where it's going to get a little tricky. Even at this deadline, if they decide, hey, we're not lowering the bar for Anthony Davis, we're going to keep him for, the summer. We're going to keep him into, even going in the next season because we want to see those three guys together. Then don't get mad whenever they ship off Naji or, we're going to wait a little bit on the Max Christie extension or, we just gave away Gafford for like literally nothing, which some people are okay with. So there's some decisions that are going to be made that's not going to please everybody.
Yeah. That's the flexibility is more valuable than one individual like role player, right? Like that we've seen teams bend over backwards. The Damian Lillard move for the Bucks, the Porzingis and the Drew Holiday moves for the Celtics. Like we've seen these teams do crazy things in order to just get flexibility. That is so valuable right now because you have to be able to pivot at any given moment to change to what you need to do around your team. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've been talking about this for so long. The Mavs also, there's a benefit to them waiting until the offseason to move some of these guys though, in this. Mm-hmm. One, Stein also was talking about how Klay having multiple years on his deals, like one more year next year. Naji having a year next year. A couple of these guys having multiple years on their deal changes the value for them. It's harder for a team to trade for somebody if they have more years on their deal. This is not. We're gone are the days of like, oh, a guy has 3 years on his deal. That's actually really valuable to us. And so Klay becomes an expiring contract in the offseason. Naji becomes an expiring contract in the offseason. Hardy becomes essentially an expiring because he's got a team option the year after that. PJ Washington does become tradable, so that's another thing to consider in the offseason. And
Cooper Flagg.
Cooper Flagg, essentially an expiring contract, 2 team options 2 years after that if you want to just go straight into the but then Gafford also, his deal kicks up, and so that changes. He goes from 14 million to 17 million, then 18 and 18 the 2 years after that. And so that does change the calculus a little bit. And so coming up, the Mavs don't do anything at the trade deadline. How do they figure out those contracts for those guys? And then also the two-way guys that we want to keep around. How do they figure those out? We'll talk about that more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook, all kinds of props and odds, things that you can use to get in on the action. Go check out FanDuel, see what is available for you. NBA Happy Hour happens every Friday for the NBA, so you can check that out in the app. Also, the NFL, Super Bowl 60. FanDuel is making sure that you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one same-game parlay, you can do all kinds of stuff like that in the FanDuel app. And so go check it out on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, you bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. So go see that on the FanDuel app and go see. The line is still 4.5 for the Seahawks. Let's see. Oh, Super Bowl props. Here we go. I'll just have MVP. Sam Darnold plus 110, Drake May plus 230, Jackson Smith the Jigba plus 600 on there. Kenneth Walker the third plus 850 are the top ones there. So bet just $5, you get $200 in bonus bets if you're a new customer. Make it count because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Also brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. I was somebody that used to try and do it myself, try to fill out all those little boxes and figure out all the different deductions and all that, and it's just not worth it. Have somebody that knows how to do it, a trusted local expert. TurboTax full service can help you get that start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure it out yourself and figure out the forms and the different boxes and all that, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything. W-2, self-employed forms, and work to get you every deduction you can get. For a limited time, you get your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local. TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Isaac, we're talking about the Mavs doing nothing at the trade deadline, which I don't think they'll do. I think that they will make some kind of move. I think one of these guys will be traded in some way. I think the Mavs are one of the only sellers. We talked about that the other day on the show, that one of these guys will get a good first-round pick or multiple first-round picks, something like that, something of value, like a solid player in a first, and we'll see what happens with it. But I think somebody does get moved.
I think I'll take it a step further. If they don't do anything big or they don't capitalize on this moment, it'll be a huge missed opportunity because they're
You'll
only.
Eat your tweet? Will you eat a tweet? If
I ain't eating no.
Have
tweet.
you seen?
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, because I've just seen that float around a little bit of like, hey, the Mavs, they might not do anything because they don't have the front office. How long are we are we literally just going to punt on taking advantage of any of this opportunity in front of you because they didn't want to find a GM when they fired Nico? It's like.
Right.
You punted the vision whenever you fired Nico. So it just seems so like if you don't do anything because you don't want to empower these guys, then and you don't want to let these guys do anything or even like those guys, like, are we, are you scared not to do something because you don't know if you're going to be in this job in a little longer? So it's like, I just think it's a weird spot if that's all the case there. Hey, they didn't do anything because they don't have a decision caller in place and they're going to have a new guy.
Right. That would signal to that. Yeah, that would signal to me that, okay, that they maybe aren't empowered enough to do something. Maybe something that didn't come up and they were too scared. They're too afraid to make a decision because they don't know what the long-term future is of this franchise because they are co-interim GMs, Michael Finley and Matt Riccardi, right? And
if that's the case, then you fired Nico just because you didn't want Chance in an arena.
Right. Yeah. Then you just did that for a PR move, and now you got rid of the old plan, and now you have no plan.
Yes.
Right. That would be what it is. So we talked about the moves they have to make in the offseason. How do they figure out Ryan Nembhard, Moussa Cisse contracts in the offseason if they don't make any moves at this trade deadline? I think that's another thing that they would have to figure out.
Yeah, no, I mean, hopefully they can figure it out before the deadline. They can, lock these two guys in, or at least one of them, to a standard contract. But
if they make no moves at the deadline, they can't.
Well, they
right?
can't,
because they don't have enough money to even just waiving Exum does not open up enough space for you to. I mean, it becomes really complicated there. But I don't think you can just.
I think they're at a point now to where the prorate money with Nembhard is they could waive Exum and then sign him to a rest of the year type of contract. It would still be under the apron. I think so. I think that's where, because there was a January date there to where if they passed that, then they, but true. I think they're kind of like waiting. Like it wouldn't shock me at all if the trade deadline comes and goes, they didn't create a roster spot. The next day, Dante Exum's waived and Nembhard signed for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But I think they're kind of waiting that out to see if they can use Exum's money, which Exum makes a couple million, 2.5, maybe, that they can include in a deal and go from there. I'm fascinated with what happens with D'Lo because, I mean, everybody knows he's just so gone with this team, but he makes $5.5 million, and it's like, would he accept a buyout because he has a player option for next year?
Yeah,
and it's like, would he accept a buyout to go somewhere? I know they're just waiting to see if they can, they have to include or they can include that 5.5 in a bigger deal before the deadline. But it's just such a kind of a funny situation now. And
I literally had my last question was, what did they do with D'Lo? And it was kind of a joke, but it was kind of not, because he doesn't have a player option next year. You just pick it up and get $5 million. And even if Kid doesn't want to play him, you still get paid that. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he thinks he's a minimum guy anymore, because that's more than the minimum. Like once you remember what Spencer Dinwiddie said one time, once you become a minimum guy, it's hard to not be a minimum guy anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a tough choice if you're that guy. I mean, he's made over $100 million in his career. I mean,
I think he'll be fine.
Do you think they're going to put that in his YouTube video? Like the YouTube?
I don't think they're going to clip that from Locked On.
They've clipped us a couple times. I don't know if they're going to do that one.
I do think that his scoring could help some playoff team off the bench. Just say that.
We're gonna do superlatives, and I think we're gonna talk about D'Lo a good amount. Are we? A little later. But that's if the Mavs do nothing, they have to figure out how to shut down AD or Kyrie. We think for sure AD. Kyrie is up in the air. Maybe they should play him. They have to make multiple.
Just real quick,
make multiple moves in the offseason. They got to figure out how to do Nembhard and Moussa Cisse, and then they have some odd men out next season too, with D'Angelo Russell, Dwight Powell's free agent, Exum, Brandon Williams.
But we all saw the video of AD warming up on the court the other day with his hand brace and doing his whole thing.
I watched him for like 30 minutes the other day warming up.
He was adamant about I'm not out for the season.
Right.
They elected not to do surgery.
Right.
The PR release said he will be healed. Be healed, Benny Hinn, in 6 weeks. There's no way they're shutting him down, right? That just ain't happening.
I can't.
That all doesn't happen if he's getting shut down. Like, can we just accept that?
I think so. I don't know that I can accept. I think I can accept anything to happen though. But we talked about this we argued about this the other day. I still think there's a scenario where it's like trade deadline happens, Anthony Davis will be getting surgery. Like they did another opinion.
What was his whole thing on Twitter then?
Okay, but they'll play it off like this. They reevaluated it. He's been reevaluated. He does need surgery. Now they're going to go the surgery route.
Yeah, but he
also tries to avoid surgery in general, though, right? Like that's something that he's done in his career.
That felt like it was more about like I'm playing the rest of this year type.
Well, because they want to get traded to a place that's going to give him an extension, and like they're running out of time. I feel like we're deja vu. We just had the same argument the other day. They're running out of time in order to find another team to make that extension thing happen. Like the clock ticks every single time it doesn't happen. If they can get it done, then it's done, and then the extension's going to happen. And then
what's the weirdest thing Rich Paul does over the next 10 days to get AD traded?
Could he start a second podcast
with Nico?
What if he starts a TikTok account that says I'm posting every day until Anthony Davis gets his extension.
What could he blackmail Dallas with? We're this late in the pod, so he can do this. He's like, I'll bring Nico on the pod with me and Max and create more storylines.
Here's how he does. He shows up on Pablo Torre. And he just airs out everything.
He's like, no, I can't even.
No, don't go there. Don't go there. Nope. Nope. The storm wasn't real. That was like
yeah. He's like, you know who else sold drones? So
he goes on Pablo Torre and he goes, all right, here's what happened. Adam Silver got in a room with Nico Harrison, myself.
Oh my God.
And Patrick Dumont.
He has stuff up his sleeve. Like
I'm sure. That's the other part about all this is I've heard stories about people like, well, this person had this information on somebody else, so that forced them to make this move. And I was like, oh, I thought that was just like a move they made out. And they're like, nope, it was because of blackmail. And you're like,
you think Rich has dropped the podcast to any of these situations that like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. Well, I'll talk about it on the Max and I are recording, coming up in a few days, so we'll talk about it there. I mean, I joked with you the other day. It's like, it would not shock me one bit if we're getting closer to the deadline. There's no traction, and he just starts airing out deals. Well, I know Dallas. They turned down Atlanta, and they're offering Naji right now to anybody who would give them a pick. And these are just like locker room.
What is
like
stopping him from doing that? Like, if Dallas isn't going to do business with him, what would stop him from airing out anything? Just.
Well, they still have like clients of it. I mean, he's one of the most powerful agents in the whole NBA.
He just talked about trading Austin Reeves.
I know that's why I'm just like, I mean, for content, we're in the content game, so we'll cover it.
He said an hour every week or whatever it is. He said he's not an agent.
No, that was the funniest thing.
Did you like the third person the other day, or he's like, do you want to know why Rich Paul has a podcast?
Can I just say like. I kind of listened to the podcast. It's not bad.
You like it?
It's not bad.
Max is good. Max has always, I think, been.
I actually don't mind it. Like, I mean, I think some of it's like stupid. Whenever he's like, I'm just a podcaster, and I'm like, no, come on, bud. Like, it's like Obama going on a podcast, like, I was never president. I'm just a podcaster right now.
Was never the president.
I'm curious to see what he has up his sleeve over these next 10 days. We could get some weird things.
And that's why we think the Mavs need to do something at the trade deadline. So we'll talk about that more throughout this week. We'll have post-game shows with me and Slightly. Go check out the Everydayers Club. There's a link in the description. Use that code DEADLINE. You get a free month on that. And then check the links in the description for the text line as well. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.